Line of fire. In-depth coverage from the Denver suburb where gunmen invaded a high school shooting students.
We were all under the tables, and the girl who was sitting right across from me under the table was shot in the head.
Moment by moment, a day of terror and tragedy. After 8 school shootings in 2 years, what have we learned about keeping kids safe? And the family, painful lessons. A mother who lost a child in another school shooting.
How many schools will it take before people realize that we have to do something?
Also, show of force. New calls for American ground troops in Kosovo. And the loss of an American couple who had it all and still risked their lives to help the refugees.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It's happened again. A mass shooting at an American school, this time a high school in suburban Denver. A number of students were wounded. Late word from the local sheriff, there may have been as many as 25 victims. How many of them were fatalities, we cannot say. It does appear at this hour it was a suicide mission for the gunman because 2 of the suspects were found dead. Columbine High School, home to 1,800 students in Littleton, Colorado. Shortly before noon Denver time today, at least 2 young men dressed in black trench coats entered the school and randomly opened fire. The scene 5 hours later is still a great deal of confusion. We wanted to hear now from Jeff Stone, who's with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department.
Unfortunately, when we did make entry into the library, it was a pretty gruesome sight.
The gruesome scene included 2 young men who they believe were the suspects in the shooting who were found dead. Let's go now to NBC's Dan Abrams, who begins our coverage live tonight from Littleton. Dan?
Well, Tom, only moments ago, the police department confirmed there are fatalities, and 2 of the fatalities are 2 of the suspects. But this isn't over. There are still students and faculty members inside, and at least 1 suspect at large. And it all started with just another school day. A mild spring morning, just after 11 a.m., almost lunchtime, when the rampage began. Masked gunmen in trench coats start shooting into the school's cafeteria.
There was gunshots, and we all got down, and we crawled out, and we all ran just across the street.
Kids scatter. Shots ring off lockers and walls. Students are hit.
He shot a girl outside, and then he came into the cafeteria, and you could hear, like, bombs and shotguns going off. And then he came into the library and shot everybody around me. Then put a gun to my head and said, asked if we all wanted to die.
About 11:30, police get the first calls. Shots, explosions, then fires reported near the school. Columbine is quickly surrounded by ambulances and police. 50, then 75, then 100, then more. And SWAT teams. The bomb squad is called.
I'm just staying underneath this desk. I'm upstairs. I don't know if they know I'm up here. I'm just glad they don't.
Frantic parents are urged not to come to the school. They come anyway. They're told to check in at an elementary school nearby. A list has been posted with names of kids who are safe. And by mid-afternoon, relief for more parents as a second group of students emerges. The public library here is one of the spots where the parents are gathering. In addition to that elementary school, they're trying their best to put those lists together if the students are okay, but many of the parents here are fearing that things may get worse before they get better. Tom?
All right, thanks very much. Dan Abrams tonight in Littleton, Colorado. Also, the Sheriff's Department reporting tonight that there are a number of unexploded devices around the school, so they're still investigating that. NBC's George Lewis is also at the scene at Columbine High School, and he joins me with more now. George?
Tom, some of the kids here who went through this horrific scene say that the 2 gunmen were members of a gang called the Trenchcoat Mafia, a gang that apparently hated athletes. We talked to one student named Emily. We don't have her last name. She describes what happened.
I was in the library, and the whole room was just filled with smoke, and I heard gunshots all over, and the 2 guys who were the Trenchcoat Mafia came into the library and were just shooting everyone that they could, anyone that they can, you know. And so we were all under the tables, and the girl who was sitting right across from me under the table was shot in the head right there. And, I mean, it was the worst feeling that I've ever had because, I mean, blood was just going all over, and, I mean, I witnessed that, you know, and it's hard.
Tonight, the bomb squad is inside the high school looking for remnants of explosive devices, and one hospital here nearby says some of the victims have been treated for shrapnel wounds. Shrapnel wounds. We have to remember, this isn't Kosovo. This is Littleton, Colorado, a prosperous suburb of Denver. Tom?
Thank you very much, NBC George Lewis tonight. The Sheriff's Department also reporting tonight that the two suspects they found dead are ex-students from the school. School shootings have become a dark stain on American life. There have been 8 of them in the last 2 years alone. What have we learned from those shootings about keeping kids safe, about dealing with kids who are driven to shoot other kids? Here's NBC's Pete Williams.
For parents and teachers nationwide, the scene just outside Denver is alarmingly familiar, so much like other shootings at America's public schools that have killed 12 students and injured more than 40 others in just the past year and a half, each time leaving a school and a community in fear. For Columbine High School, the hard work now begins for school counselors who must help students deal with the terror. Psychologist Scott Poland was called in to counsel children after last year's shootings in Springfield, Oregon, and Jonesboro, Arkansas.
The path of the high school in Colorado and that community changed today forever. It saddens me to tell you that, but that is the reality. Things will never be the same.
And yet, as shocking as these outbursts are, the actual number of people killed nationwide at school or on the way there or back home has been going down. 5 years ago, the number killed in school-related violence was higher. Though last school year was a deadly one, the trend has been dropping to 9 so far in the current school year, which is almost over. Education officials say they've been working hard to keep guns out of school by using more metal detectors. And every state now expels students who get caught carrying weapons, more than 6,000 kicked out a year. Some cities like Baltimore, Maryland, have even put policemen and probation officers into their schools, hoping to head off trouble and spot problem young people. But some school safety experts say school shootings can never be prevented with so many teens drawn to violence and guns so easy to get.
Prisons are the most secure institutions in our society, yet they still have weapons and gang activity inside. To think that we can completely eliminate these incidents from occurring in our schools is unrealistic.
But as officials try to sort out just what went wrong this time, they'll be looking for clues on how to improve the odds against another violent outburst at school. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
Today's tragedy in Littleton, Colorado strikes close to home for one woman, a mother who lost a child in a shooting all too reminiscent of what happened this afternoon at Columbine High School. More on that now from NBC's Ann Thompson.
Suzanne Wilson watches the pictures from Littleton, knowing the desperation, the fear of the parents who ran to Columbine High School this afternoon. 13 months ago, she ran too, to Jonesboro Westside Middle School.
You run and you're thinking, you know, you're making all kinds of deals with God and stuff, you know, oh, don't let it be mine. And then when you get up there, you're just looking for anybody that'll tell you something, that'll say, your child's over here and she's safe. I remember running up to a teacher and going, you know, Brittany, where's Brittany?
Her daughter, 11-year-old Brittany Varner, was shot, one of 4 students killed in Jonesboro that day.
I think about it a lot of times at night. I think, what could I have done differently? What should I have done differently as a mother?
Since then, Suzanne has used her hurt and anger to campaign for laws to hold gun owners responsible when children use those weapons to hurt others, taking on gun rights advocates on the front steps of the Arkansas Capitol.
This is not about the Second Amendment. This is about parents burying their children.
Accepting the president's praise at this year's State of the Union address.
I'd like to thank her for her courage and her commitment.
And today in Chicago for a meeting of the National Organization for Safe and Drug-Free Schools.
How many children will it take? How many schools will it take before people realize that we have to do something?
Suzanne is trying to do something for her 2 other children, but she still can't answer her 14-year-old daughter Brandy's question, is she safe?
If I said, yes, you're safe, then I would be lying to her because I don't know that she's safe.
Suzanne's hope tonight that this is the last time she'll watch pictures like this, another school shooting, a hope she fears will not be fulfilled. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Chicago.
And when we come back, the other big story of the day, the latest on the crisis in Kosovo. Now to tonight's other big story, the crisis in Kosovo. After 28 days of what NATO says have been punishing airstrikes against Yugoslavia, Operation Allied Force is being taken to a new level. NBC's Pentagon correspondent Jim Miklashevsky joins us now with the latest from the Pentagon. Jim?
Tom, after a month of airstrikes, Serb military forces continue their ethnic cleansing in Kosovo. So NATO is raising the stakes. Flying more than 200 bombing runs against scores of targets, NATO warplanes today launched the single heaviest day of bombing in 4 weeks.
We are attacking aggressively, we're attacking persistently, and we're attacking through much of the day and night.
Military sources report NATO is expanding its target list to strike more sites in and around Belgrade that keep Slobodan Milosevic in power.
To defeat the ambitions of Milosevic, who has promoted that policy of ethnic cleansing.
At the same time, to keep up the pressure on Milosevic, NATO is bombarding Belgrade daily with new allegations of Serb atrocities, shelling refugee camps in the mountains, using young boys as living blood banks for wounded Serb soldiers, and 3,500 civilians executed. In all, the British say they have strong evidence of 50 Serb war crimes.
There will be no hiding place for those responsible for mass murder, mass rape, and mass graves.
Meanwhile, Serb resentment over the airstrikes is beginning to spill over in neighboring Macedonia, where angry Serbs attacked French troops on a peacekeeping patrol near the Kosovo border. The troops escape unharmed, but the Serb civilians destroy one NATO vehicle. And there's no sign tonight that Milosevic himself is about to crack. The latest U.S. intelligence says that Milosevic and his regime, despite NATO bombing, remain firmly in power. Tom?
NBC's Jim Miklashevsky at the Pentagon tonight. At the White House, preparations are underway for this weekend's NATO summit. Originally, it was called as a celebration of NATO's 50th anniversary. But now this gathering has taken on new urgency. The White House will press for tough economic sanctions against Yugoslavia, including an oil embargo. And tonight, President Clinton sought to reaffirm NATO's unity in this battle against Yugoslavia and Slobodan Milosevic.
Our alliance of democracies must stand and stand together against dictators who exploit human differences to extend power.
Also up for discussion at that NATO summit this weekend, the question of ground troops. Although U.S. officials insist the NATO consensus still is for an air war only. Up next, Lifeline, a new kind of eye surgery, a tiny implant that can cure nearsightedness.
And
Lifeline tonight, a new kind of eye surgery that can cure nearsightedness. It affects so many of us as we get older, of course. Here's NBC's Robert Hager.
Stuart Haas, hoping to escape the ranks of 20 million Americans who are mildly nearsighted.
I had trouble seeing lots of things you can't see in the morning when you get out of bed.
Today, Haas turns to a brand new treatment, tiny implants that look like this. In minor half-hour surgery with the patient awake but the eye numbed, 2 implants are slipped inside the cornea. Later, just over half the patients will have perfect vision, 20/20, and another third near perfect, 20/40. Not cheap, costs about $5,000 for both eyes, same as laser surgery, but it's less complicated, and unlike the laser operation, if it doesn't work, it's reversible. Stuart Haas's operation today at Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York by Dr. Penny Aspel.
If for some reason the patient's not happy, we can take out the segments and you're pretty much back to where you started in terms of your vision.
Important since about 1 in 20 see a glare or halo and decide to have the implants removed. Removal works for all but a few. And some other patients, like Jeff Mueller, experience stunning success.
I just couldn't ask for any better, quality vision than I have.
Today's implants just for the nearsighted, can't see in the distance. But there are others coming for those who need glasses for reading. With Americans already spending $15 billion a year on glasses, contacts, or laser surgery, the potential market is big. Graying baby boomers and others of all ages willing to pay to improve quality of life. Tonight, Stuart Haas can go home, wear the patch till tomorrow, and return later to have the other eye implanted. Over 200 clinics or hospitals now offer the operation, a new option to laser surgery. Some forecast will catch on fast. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
On Wall Street, there were no wild swings for the Dow today. It gained about 8 points, or 0.8%. The Nasdaq gained a bit less than half of yesterday's huge loss. It was up more than 64 points today. That's about 2.5% of its value. Up next, an American couple who went on a mission of mercy but met tragedy instead. It's been a long, difficult day, and tonight we want to share with you the lives of three remarkable people and the common loss we should all feel, even though they were little known outside their circle of friends and admirers. They were an American couple and a French woman, and they were in Albania over the weekend, trying, as they have so often in the past, to help others. Here's NBC's Bob Fall.
They could have lived a rich, comfortable life. Penny McCall, age 54, born wealthy, a savvy patron of the arts, and her husband David, 71, who started almost 50 years ago in a mailroom on Madison Avenue and went on to become a titan there, helping create famous commercials which became classics.
For our closest shave ever.
The ads brought them security, but they spent their lives helping others. She setting up a center which detected and removed landmines. He creating ads against tobacco, and his award-winning Schoolhouse Rock television series for children.
Conjunction, junction.
Professional colleagues said that David McCall's passion was people.
If David had to go, he would want it to be in a Jeep with his wife, rambling down a road to help people he had never met before.
Which, tragically, is what happened. Sunday, traveling in Albania on harrowing roads like this, Penny and David McCall died when their vehicle in a driving rainstorm missed a curve where there was no guardrail and plunged down the mountainside. Also killed, along with the driver, was Yvette Perpoli, a legendary relief worker from France. They were headed to camps like this in Kukës, an 8 to 10 hour drive from the Albanian capital, to see about setting up a satellite radio network so that refugees here could make contact and be reunited with one another. It was a situation, said their stunned colleagues in Albania, that the McCalls could not watch from afar.
David and Penny and Yvette, I don't think could have watched the situation unfolding on television or read the papers and sat by. I just don't think it was possible for them to do that.
American envoy Richard Holbrooke said the loss is incalculable and that their impact was profound.
The legacy of Yvette and the McCalls is clear, that people can make a difference. Civilians, well-intentioned private citizens can make a difference, but that it's dangerous out there.
And the conflict, which has brought misery to hundreds of thousands, has now claimed three of the world's best. Bob Fall, NBC News, Kukës, Albania.
We have an update now on those shootings at the Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado, and joining me now is Jeff Stone, who's the Jefferson County Sheriff. Sheriff, can you tell us how many people you think may be dead in that school?
The estimates that I have are 25.
25 who are dead, or 25 who have been shot?
25 that are dead.
That's an enormous number. Are they scattered throughout the school?
The bulk of them appear to be in the school library, and it's a mixture, if I understand, of students and faculty.
And have you made a positive identification on the two young men who were the suspects?
Well, we believe that the two suspects are part of that deceased group. It appears that they took their lives.
And how heavily armed were they?
I can't tell you that. It's by just knowing the amount of devastation that was done here, probably very heavily armed. We had a SWAT operation going on in there up until just a few moments ago, so the school has not been secure for us to get in and begin our grisly task of identification of these bodies and do the crime scene work. We'll be here all night.
And what about the bombs and the other devices around the school?
I understand we had 3 devices here, and one found also at one of the suspects' houses upon execution of a search warrant over there.
Is there a suspect who's still at large?
At this point, no.
Thank you very much.
But the investigation will be continuing.
Thank you. Very difficult news. Sheriff Jeff Stone from Jefferson County, who's been investigating this all day long, telling us tonight that it's now believed that there are 25 people who have been killed in that shooting at Columbine High School. Let's go now to NBC's Dan Abrams, who's just outside as well. Dan?
Well, Tom, it's now officially over. The bomb squad was the last team of people out of that building. And of course, that was the most dangerous aspect of it because there was that concern about booby traps. But that was really the real question was When is this going to be over? How is it going to end? We now have confirmed that they are finished. 2 of the suspects have committed suicide. They did arrest at least 3 others, and we will wait for the grisly details about the exact numbers of victims inside.
All right, thank you very much. Dan Abrams, who's on duty tonight in Littleton, Colorado, to bring you up to date. It does now appear that at least 25 people were killed, including 2 of the suspects. They were found in the library at the school. A number of other students were wounded, and they are being treated in Denver area hospitals. The shooting began at about 11:30 this morning, Denver time, and the chaos went on for most of the day. I'll have much more on this school shooting tonight on Dateline at 10, 9 Central, of course, continuing coverage on MSNBC.